Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, a really unexpected corner of ancient history, the Pācittiya rules.
Yeah, these are specific disciplinary codes for Buddhist nuns, the Bhikkhunis.
Exactly. And we're going to be digging into excerpts from these ancient texts, which honestly aren't discussed all that often.
Right. Our mission really is to unpack the stories behind these rules. You get these amazing glimpses into their daily lives, the challenges they faced.
And even some very human moments, maybe some missteps.
Absolutely. Imagine ancient Buddhist nuns having rules about garlic.
Or how they could bathe in public. It sounds almost bizarre.
It does, but get ready because you're going to discover that even the most sort of dedicated spiritual paths have this very real, very human side.
Yeah, complete with drama, accidents, and some surprisingly specific regulations.
This deep dive is really going to show you how a community, even a spiritual one, is still, made up of people.
And that comes with some fascinating, sometimes complicated stuff.
Mm.
So let's dive right in. Section 1, where the everyday stuff, the mundane, really bumps up against monastic life, especially when it comes to things like managing resources and food.
And our first stop, maybe surprisingly, is Pācittiya rule number 1, the problem of garlic.
Garlic. Okay.
Yeah, this one really sets the tone, I think. So picture the ancient city of Savatthi. A lay follower, being generous, offers a whole load of garlic, specifically Magadhan garlic, to the Bhikkhunī community.
Okay, sounds good so far.
The field keeper gets instructions, give each nun, 2 or 3 bundles. Seems pretty straightforward.
There's always a but, isn't there?
There usually is. So a festival happens, and, the garlic supply is running low.
Wow.
And this is where one particular Bhikkhuni comes in. Her name's Thilananda, and you'll actually hear her name again. She seems to pop up a bit.
A repeat offender, maybe?
Huh, perhaps. Anyway, she goes to the field and takes what the text calls an excessive amount. It says she didn't know the measure, basically. She took way, way too much garlic.
Far more than her share.
Exactly. So the field keeper, quite rightly, complains, lack of moderation.
And this gets back to the Buddha.
It does, and he reprimands Stilananda. But what's really fascinating is he tells this past life story.
Oh, interesting, like a parable.
Kind of. He says Thilananda, in a previous life, was a Brahmin's wife who got greedy for golden feathers and captured a golden swan king. Because of her greed, the swan's feathers turned white.
Wow, so relating that back to the garlic.
Right. The Buddha's lesson is crystal clear. What is received therewith, one should be content, for excessive greed is evil. Basically, be happy with your share, don't be greedy.
And that incident, that very human moment of taking too much garlic,
leads directly to Pācittiya, offense number 1. A bhikkhuni shouldn't eat garlic.
just like that. But the details sound quite specific.
Oh, incredibly specific. It's not just eating it. You get a lesser offense, a dukkaya, just for receiving the garlic if you intend to eat it.
Seriously?
Yep, and a full Pācittiya for every single mouthful.
Yeah.
And it even applies if you're not sure it's garlic or if you mistake it for something else.
That's strict. So what does this tell us? It's not just don't eat garlic.
No, not at all. It's immediately about managing shared resources in the community. It's about how individual greed can mess things up for everyone. It's foundational.
It really is. But you mentioned exceptions. Always the exception.
Always. And they're key. So no offense if you eat onions or some other specific plants.
Okay.
And crucially, no offense if the garlic is like mixed into prepared food. So if it's in soup or cooked with meat or in oil, that's okay.
Ah, I see. So it's not the garlic itself that's inherently bad. It's more about avoiding hoarding it or showing gluttony.
Exactly that. It's the way it's consumed. It's about moderation, which actually leads us nicely into the next food rule.
The raw grain saga, Pācittiya number 7.
That's the one. So fast forward, still in Savatthi, but now it's harvest season. And bhikkhunis are seen getting raw grain.
Okay, procuring food. Makes sense.
But then they try to bring it into the city, and, they get stopped at the gate by guards.
Guards, why?
The guards demand a share, like a toll almost.
Wow, okay. So that's a problem.
Right. After this hassle, the nuns take the grain, they roast it, pound it, cook it, and then they eat it.
And this whole process becomes an issue.
The whole sequence, yes. It leads to a Pācittiya offense for a bhikkhuni who procures raw grain, then processes it roasting, pounding, or cooking, and then eats it.
So it's not just about eating raw food then?
No, it seems to be more about the whole chain of events. Maybe it highlights how vulnerable the nuns were, how dependent, and how procuring food could lead to these kinds of conflicts.
Like getting hassled by guards.
Exactly. So the rule might be there to help them maintain their independence, or at least their good reputation. And interestingly, you get dinged at each step. Procuring, roasting, pounding, cooking.
It's like a minefield just to get a meal.
Kind of. But again, exceptions.
Of course. Illness.
Illness is nearly always an exception, yes. And also, if they're getting other kinds of food, like non-grain stuff, that's okay.
It really gives you a glimpse into the practicalities, doesn't it? How do you feed a whole community without farming yourself? These rules are trying to navigate that.
Okay, so moving on from food and resources,
Right.
let's get into Section 2, Rules of the Body. This covers things like modesty, hygiene, personal conduct.
And this is where things get maybe even more personal and specific.
Definitely. Let's start with Pācittiya 2, the hair removal and bathing rule.
Okay, I'm intrigued already.
So we're back in Savatthi, and guess who's involved?
Let me guess.
Thulananda.
Huh, not this time, but close. It's the Chabagya Bhikkhunis.
Ah, the group that often seems to be, let's say, testing the boundaries.
That's a polite way to put it. They often cause trouble. So in this case, they're found shaving a pubic hair. The text is quite specific.
Right.
They're bathing completely naked in the Asirwadi River, which might not be so bad, except...
They're doing it right alongside prostitutes.
Oh. Okay, it's not a great look for nuns, I imagine.
Exactly. And what's really telling is the prostitutes themselves complained.
They did. What did they say?
They basically said the Bhikkhunis were acting just like housewives enjoying pleasures. Ouch!
Yeah, that's a direct hit. So this public display.
Leads straight to a Pācittiya offense for a Bhikkhunī who shaves pubic hair. And the rule clarifies this means hair in the armpits and the genital area.
Like, is it like a lot of hair removal or...
Even removing a single hair triggers the offense.
Wow, that's incredibly strict. They really want to make a point about modesty and public image.
Absolutely. Though again, the usual exception, waived if it's due to illness.
Right, that balance between discipline and basic needs.
And this focus on modesty and maybe managing urges extends into really private stuff. Which brings us to Pācittiya 3, the Talagataka incident.
Talagataka, what does that mean?
Well, the story is 2 bhikkhunis in Savatthi, feeling a discontent, word, again go into a private room and perform Talagata.
Okay.
Other nuns hear sounds coming from the room. They initially think maybe there's a man in there, but they're told no man present. But the activity itself
Leads to a rule.
leads to a Pācittiya offense for performing Talagataka. And the definition is pretty stark.
How is it defined?
It's defined as indulging in touch, even striking the urinary passage with a lotus leaf.
Right, okay. So self-stimulation, essentially.
That seems to be the implication, yes. And again, illness is an exception.
These rules, they might seem strange to us, but they really do open a window onto the sort of psychological pressures, maybe, the struggles people faced adjusting to monastic life.
I think that's exactly right. The Buddha seems to be addressing even these very private behaviors to maintain focus, community order, dealing with that discontent.
It's not just arbitrary, don't do this. It's often a response to something real.
Definitely. And Pācittiya 4, the Japamahaka rule, is another example that really illustrates this.
Jatumahaka, another new term for me. What's the story here?
This one's quite intriguing. It involves a bhikkhuni who, before becoming a nun, used to be a royal concubine.
Okay, quite a life change.
Huge change. So she's using something called a Jatumahaka. Then another bhikkhuni, also feeling discontent, asks her basically, how do you cope? You know, being a nun now without the king.
A very direct question.
Very direct. And the former concubine explains that she uses this Jatumahaka.
So the second nun tries it.
She does, but then she throws it away afterwards. And here's the detail. Flies gather around the discarded object.
Oh, revealing what it was or what it was used for.
Exactly. Other bhikkhunis see the flies, figure out what's going on, and complaints follow.
And naturally, this leads to...
a Pācittiya offense for using a Jatumahaka.
What was it, though?
The text says it could be made from different things: lac, wood, paste, clay. And the offense is defined very similarly to the last one: indulging in touch, even inserting a lotus leaf into the urinary passage.
I see. Similar principle, different object, and illness is the exception again.
Illness is the exception. You know, details like the flies, they just make it so vivid, don't they? It's the mundane, everyday stuff bumping up against these spiritual rules.
It really does. It feels less like dry rules and more like community chronicles. Okay, what about hygiene? You mentioned that.
Yes. Pācittiya 5, the water cleansing limitation. This one even involves Mahapajapati Gautami.
The Buddha's stepmother. A major figure.
The very one. She asks the Buddha about female hygiene, specifically because of a bad smell, a very practical concern.
Understandable. And the Buddha's response.
He permits something called Uddaka Suttika, which is basically washing the urinary passage for cleanliness.
Okay, seems reasonable, so what's the problem?
The problem comes when a different Bhikkhunī apparently gets a bit too enthusiastic with the cleansing implement.
How so?
She inserts it too deeply and injures herself, causes a wound.
Ouch. Okay, I can see how that would lead to complaints.
Right. And so a Pācittiya rule, a Bhikkhunī commits an offense if she inserts this Uddaka Suttika deeper than 2 finger joints.
2 finger joints. That is incredibly specific.
Isn't it? Dasu, agulesu, dve papa parama. No more than 2 joints on 2 fingers. The text says even exceeding it by a hair's breadth is an offense.
Wow, precision.
But no offense if you stay within the limit, or less, or...
If it's due to illness.
You got it. It makes you think about enforcement, but it really shows this meticulous attention to well-being, health, even in these very intimate practices.
Okay, moving into our final section, section 3, navigating society. So this is about interactions outside the monastery walls, dealing with waste, even entertainment.
And this first one, Pācittiya 6, about the former spouse and serving monk. Wow, this one is pure soap opera.
Oh, really? Do tell.
Okay, Sabathi again. We have a monk who used to be a high-ranking minister, and we have a bhikkhuna who used to be his wife.
Okay, awkward potential right there.
Highly awkward. So the monk is eating. The bhikkhuni, his former wife, comes up to him and starts serving him water, fanning him.
Acting like a wife still, almost.
Exactly. And she starts talking intimately to him.
And how does the monk react?
He dismisses her, tells her to go away, basically.
And she doesn't take it well.
Not at all. She gets angry, throws the water pot at his head, and then hits him with the fan.
No way. That's quite a scene. In public.
Seems like it was visible enough for other bhikkhunis to complain about this dramatic display.
I bet they did.
Yeah.
So the rule that comes out of this, former wife throws water on former husband monk.
Is a Pācittiya offense for a bhikkhuni who serves water or a fan to a monk while he is eating.
Specifically while he's eating.
Yes, and specifically if she's standing within arm's reach while doing it.
The proximity matters.
It really does. It's clearly about preventing that kind of inappropriate intimacy or attachment, especially between former spouses within the monastic setting. It's about boundaries.
So it's not just giving him water. It's the act of serving him closely while he's occupied.
Precisely. And the nuance is there too. A lesser offense if she's further away or if she's serving something that isn't food or serving someone who isn't ordained.
And crucially,
no offense if she just gives him the fan or water or gets someone else to give it or tells an unordained person to serve him.
Okay, so it's laser focused on that direct, personal, potentially intimate service by the bhikkhuni herself.
You nailed it. It's about that specific interaction.
Hmm.
Okay, so from personal drama to, well, public sanitation.
Waste disposal.
Yep, Pācittiya 8. Waste disposal over walls. This story is wild.
Okay, hit me.
Still in Sabbath, there's a Brahmin, used to work at the royal court, lost his job. He's just washed his hair, looking smart, walking past the Bhikkhunī monastery on his way to see the king, hoping to get his old job back.
Dead in the scene.
And just as he's walking past, splat, a Bhikkhuni throws a bowl of human waste
Oh, no.
over the monastery wall, and it lands right on the Brahmin's freshly washed head.
You cannot be serious. He must have been furious.
Absolutely enraged. He tries to set the monastery on fire.
Whoa.
But here's the bizarre twist. A lay follower stops him, calms him down, and tells him this incident is actually a good omen.
Getting hit with waste is a good omen. How?
The lay follower predicts he'll get 1,000 coins and his desired position. And guess what?
He gets the job and the money.
He gets both. It's incredible. Meanwhile, back at the monastery.
The other nuns are complaining about the waste-throwing technique.
Understandably. Which leads to the Pācittiya rule. Don't throw or get someone else to throw human waste, urine, rubbish, or food scraps over a wall or fence.
Seems like basic neighborly conduct, really.
Yeah.
Good fences make good neighbors, but maybe don't throw stuff over them.
Pretty much. And the rule defines rubbish, food scraps, bones, leftovers, dirty water. Specifies wall materials to brick, stone, wood. It covers doing it yourself or getting someone else to.
Any common sense exceptions?
Yes, thankfully. No offense if you actually look first before you throw.
Good idea.
or if you're throwing it into a designated waste pit or cesspool.
Okay, that makes sense. So be mindful of your neighbors.
And that theme continues directly into Pācittiya 9, waste disposal on greenery.
So not over the wall, but onto plants.
Exactly. Savatthi again. There's a Brahmin who owns a barley field right next door to the Bhikkhunī monastery.
Convenient location, maybe too convenient.
Way too convenient.
No.
Because the Bhikkhunis are found chucking their waste, human waste, urine, rubbish, food scraps, directly onto his growing barley.
Oh, come on. That's damaging his crops.
Totally. So the Brahmin complains, naturally.
And the rule?
Pācittiya offense for throwing or causing waste to be thrown onto growing plants or greenery, which means plants grown for people to use or eat. Again, applies if you do it yourself or get someone else to.
Okay. And the exceptions are similar.
Very similar. No offense if you look first or if you throw it just at the edge of the field, the boundary.
Right.
Or, and this is key, if you actually got permission from the owner of the field first.
Ah, consent matters. These two rules together really paint a picture, don't they? Respecting property, keeping the peace with the lay community.
Absolutely. It's about protecting that vital relationship. The nuns relied on lay support, so they couldn't afford to, literally dump on their neighbors.
Makes total sense.
Okay.
Okay, one more. Pācittiya 10.
Last one for today. Attending public performances. Now we're in Rajagaha, and guess who's back?
The Chavagya Bhikkhunis.
Bingo. They decide to go check out a public festival, a Juraga Samajo. There's dancing, singing, music.
Sounds like fun, but maybe not for nuns.
Well, the lay people who see them there certainly don't think so. They complain, saying, how can bhikkhunis go watch dancing and singing? Just like, wait for it, housewives enjoying pleasures.
There's that phrase again, the same one the prostitutes used about the bathing incident.
Exactly. It clearly signals a perceived crossing of the line into worldly behavior. So this public perception problem
becomes a Pācittiya offense for going to see dancing, singing, or music.
Correct. And it specifies any dancing, any singing, any music.
Is it just being there?
Well,
or
good question. You get a lesser offense, the dukkaya, just for going there with the intention to watch. But the full Pācittiya happens when you're standing there and actually watching or listening.
I see.
And it even applies if you, move away but keep looking back or listening repeatedly. It's about intentionally engaging with the entertainment.
But surely there are exceptions. What if music just happens nearby?
Practical exceptions, yes. No offense if the performance happens inside the monastery grounds or if the performers actually come to where the bhikkhunis live.
Okay.
Also, no offense if they're just passing by, on their way somewhere else for a legitimate reason and they happen to see or hear something.
It's about seeking out worldly entertainment rather than just encountering it, maintaining that ascetic focus.
That seems to be the core idea, regulating the intentional pursuit of pleasure, not denying all sensory input.
So, wrapping this up, wow. These Pācittiya rules, they really are something else, stemming from these incredibly human, sometimes funny, sometimes dramatic incidents.
They give us such a unique window, don't they, into the day-to-day reality, the struggles, the social dynamics of these early Buddhist nuns.
Yeah, you see these high spiritual ideals colliding with really practical problems.
Yeah.
How to share garlic fairly, where to throw the trash, how to deal with former spouses.
Dealing with emotions like discontent, managing hygiene. These are universal things, really, just playing out in this specific ancient context. Deeply relatable even now.
It makes you think, what do these super detailed, sometimes really specific rules tell us about just setting up and running any kind of community?
And that constant tension between how one person acts and how the whole group is seen, right? The collective reputation.
It's just a fascinating look at how a living tradition has to adapt, how it learns from, real life messing things up sometimes.
Exactly. It's not just a list of don'ts. It's the why behind each rule. Often, it's a direct reaction to somebody doing something specific. They're practical fixes for human problems, not just abstract ideas.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we think about these ancient rules, how do our own communities, our workplaces, even our families, create their own rules, maybe unwritten ones, based on things that happen, on incidents?
That's a great point. What seemingly small things happening today in our own lives might eventually lead to new norms, new expectations, new rules, written or unwritten.
Yeah. What unexpected Bhaktiyas, maybe tiny ones, are we kind of creating right now without even realizing it? Something to definitely mull over